would like to introduce you to our speaker, Judy Kent.
Hello.
Judy joined Elder Care Management in October 2016 after a career in business. She has an undergraduate degree in education and a master's degree in business administration. Her interest in caring for the elderly was an outgrowth of her 3 years spent as the primary caregiver for her mother, who battled dementia and Alzheimer's. Judy is also the president of Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Rescue, and when she is not working with the elderly, she is happily working with her dogs. It's so good for everyone to be here today. Thank you so much, Judy, and take it away.
Thank you so much for having me be here today. This is my favorite presentation. As you might imagine, I get to combine my love for the dogs with what I've learned from them and how I can make that something that you can learn also as we go through this aging process together. Because as we all know, getting old ain't easy. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. Maureen introduced me and what I do, but I am a serial adopter of golden retrievers from Homeward Bound. And I have had over 20 dogs from Homeward Bound. I tend to take the ones that are a little bit older, or the ones that have cancer and need hospice, or I actually specialize in the seizure dogs, dogs with epilepsy. So I have learned a lot from each and every kind of dog that I've had. And I hope that when you see some of these photos today, they'll make you smile. Some of them might make you laugh. Some of them might make you tear up a little bit. But whatever it is, I hope you enjoy this. So my first lesson learned, and I start right from the beginning of the day, is to greet the day. This dog is my girl Daisy, and she suffered terribly from seizures. So every morning when she woke up, she would take a run around the yard as if it was the best day ever for her. And it probably was, because she could be suffering from a seizure later in that day, or the after effects of seizure, but she learned to get up and greet the day. And so in the mornings, I get up, whether I want to or not, and greet the day. Not quite as excited as Daisy is. I don't run around the yard, but I make sure that I've got things going and I'm ready to go. On the other hand, this is Yogi. He greets the day in a much calmer manner. He takes a walk, he looks around, he surveys his environment, he decides what he's going to do for the day, but he's up and he's moving and he's ready to go. So as hard as it is for us sometimes, I say get up and greet the day. Make sure that you're going to get started and get things going. And if you have a dog, you don't really have a choice, because they're going to make you get up and get going. Oops, wait a minute. All right, what happened? Hang on, I'm sorry. I'll be with you in a second. The next thing I want to talk about is that you should make new friends. As we get older, it's so much harder to meet new people. In our younger days, we met people because we went to work every day, or we took the kids to school, or we walked the dog, or whatever activity we had, we volunteered, but we made sure that we got out and we met people and we made new friends. As we age, that gets harder because we're not out and about as much. And especially this last year with being cooped up due to the COVID outbreak, it's been much harder to get out and meet people. And so if you look at dogs, they have no trouble making new friends. If you watch dogs like these go into a play group, they are so excited to see other dogs. They go in and they sniff each other's bottoms and they do a little play bow, and then they're off and running because they only have a short time and they want to make new friends. So for us, I'm not recommending that you go into a room and sniff everybody's bottom, because I think people would take offense at that. But you should go out and greet new people. If you live in a community, you want to meet the new people who come in, because they don't know anybody and it's very hard to make friends. And you've been there and you know that. If you are living by yourself, if you're independent, if you go for a walk, meet the people on your street, Make new friends because it's so important. Strike up a conversation, and it doesn't matter what your age is and what the age of the other person is. And if you take a look at this puppy looking at the older dog, she wants to make new friends. And the puppy is very excited to say, oh, hello, how are you? Strike up a conversation and be friends with somebody new. Once you've made that friend, it's so important to visit them. The power of being with people who know your history, who even share just a general history with you, is so interesting and so much fun when you can talk about things that happened in the past. So it's really good to keep in touch with your old friends, but it's also good to keep in touch with new friends because that's how you learn new things, but you have to make the effort to go and visit. So like these guys are doing at the fence, they go over, say hello, see how they're doing. This is one of my favorite pictures in that these two didn't know each other, but they were going to make friends. And, you know, this is the one where you steal the kid's nose. Here you go. You can take the puppy's nose too. After you make your new friends, you have to remember how important it is, the power of touch, to touch people. And again, we're in such a crisis right now where we're supposed to have masks and we're not supposed to touch people. But I got to tell you that one of the things that I miss the most about through this whole crisis is getting a hug, because the power of touch is so important. And you can see in this picture that it's working for both the little girl and for the dog. They both want the touch. You want to make sure that when you make your new friends, that you hug them. This dog is named Karma, and she came to us at Homeward Bound. She had been neglected. She wasn't abused, she was neglected. Everybody forgot about her. The family got too busy and no one touched her. And she's here with one of our volunteers, Anna, and she's learning again how important the power of touch is. So you want to make sure when you visit with your friends that you give them a hug, or you touch their arm, or you pat them on the head, or whatever you can do. Again, during these times, I'm not recommending that anybody get in any trouble for doing anything wrong, but the power of touch is so meaningful. This is Tag. The dog's name is Tag. The two women are volunteers at Homeward Bound. Tag came to us from a meat farm in Korea. He was rescued and brought to the United States with 17 other dogs that were rescued by the International Humane Society. And 4 golden retrievers ended up in San Francisco at the Humane Society, and they needed more care than that group could handle because it's too big a group. So the 4 of these dogs came to us. This dog, when he came to us, would not stand up. He crawled on the ground, did a low crawl, terrified of everything. And once he realized how important it was to touch and be touched by people, he started coming out of his shell. And even more important than the people who touched him, there was a puppy who came in with him. And that puppy, he hadn't been in a cage long enough to know that that was a horrible life. He came to the States and he kept going after this dog to play with him, to be part of what he was doing. And he would go and sniff him and touch him and paw him and play bow and try and get him active. And finally, over time, this little guy, Tag, was able to stand and participate and understand how important it is to be loved by people. And he got himself a really nice home with another.
Judy, you're muted.
I don't know how that happened. Okay, am I back? Do you have me? Okay, so he got a nice home and he is living the good life, all through the power of touch. This was River. River was found along the river in Yuba City, and he was feral for almost 9 months before they could catch him. And when he came to us, he would not let anybody near him. And now he is also adopted because people took the time to touch and take care of him. And so the power of touch is just, it's something I can't express enough. And that's why I say with humans and dogs, it's going in and putting your hand on somebody. It's the hug. It's all of the things that make us feel connected to another person. Okay, my next lesson is to take your medicine. These two dogs are Pearl and Ruby. And you can see a little bit on the little dog Pearl, how her ears are pink instead of all white like they should be. And you can see on the big Golden that the tips of her ears are brown and they don't have any hair growing on them. These two dogs had sarcoptic mange, which is a highly contagious form of mange. When they came to us, this is really good how they look now, but when they came to us, they were just almost hairless and had been eaten up by this, by the mange, by the mites that come with this. And so they had to take their medicine, and they had to take their medicine every day. And they did, and they healed. And again, they're living a life that every dog should have. This is Ned. Ned came to us after having probably been a bait dog in a dog fighting ring. And he was beaten up and chewed up, and he was in pretty horrible shape, as you can see from the one slide. After that, after taking his medicine and getting healed, he's the dog you see on the right-hand side, and he is absolutely a stunning dog. Went home with an older guy who wanted a companion, and Ned was his guy. So I remind you again to take your medicine. This is Patsy. Patsy was hit by a car. She was tumbled, and she's got no hair on the back where she got hit by a car. And again, now she is the prettiest little thing you have ever seen, and all because she took her medicine. Now, working with seniors, I know that sometimes we just don't want to take the meds we have. Maybe they don't make us feel good. Maybe they're too expensive. Maybe you just forget because I should have taken it at 8 o'clock this morning, but now it's 10, so I'm not going to take it now. And I can't impress upon you enough to take your medicine, because it will make the difference in your life to make sure that you take the medicine that's prescribed for you. Okay. Rise above your disabilities. It's so easy to say. But if you look really closely at this dog, we called him Squish Buddy because he got hit by a car. He's missing his back left leg, and he's sitting there so pretty that you can hardly see that it's missing. Buddy got hit and clobbered, and we had to amputate his leg. He learned all his commands after that. He learned to sit, to stay, to come, and he is now a therapy dog, visiting hospitals and children and showing them that it doesn't matter what you've got. You can rise above your disabilities and you can make a better life for yourself. This is Eddie. Same thing happened to him. Hit by a car, lost his leg, and there he is. He runs as fast as any dog you have ever seen. The tripods, by the way, have no trouble. It's the humans who have trouble looking at a dog with 3 legs. The dogs don't care. They know how to get around. And so he also got adopted, is living a really good life. This is Johnny. And this is another dog with a disability where I say, do the best you can with what you've got. Johnny was what was called a swimmer dog. And that was not because he could swim in the pool. It's because that was the only way he could get around on the grass. He used his front legs and pulled himself through the grass. And he's a tiny puppy. He was 8 weeks old. And he was basically born without knees. And so when he would try and stand up, he didn't have any way to bend his knees to stand up. So I say do the best you can with what you've got. because this is Johnny only 4 weeks after coming to be with us. And he figured out how to stand and to use those back legs. Now he doesn't walk like a normal dog. He bunny hops. Those back legs work together as one because he never developed any knees. So he doesn't have anything to bend back there. So he just moves from his hips forward. But he's a happy dog. He lives on our property and he runs around his yard. He's got 2 brothers and he learned to do the best he could with what he was given. Okay, be flexible and adaptable. Things change all the time. Our lives are never what we think they're going to be. And if we wait for only good things to happen and don't try and make them happen, it doesn't always work out. I highlighted these dogs because we called them the campfire dogs. If you recall, 2 years ago, there was a horrible fire up in Paradise and the town was leveled and people left there with what they had in their pockets and their animals. And so we opened up our shelter and said any big dogs could come and stay with us until the owners got on their feet because they didn't have a place to live. It's very hard to find housing if you have big dogs. And we took in all of these dogs. The 2 on the bottom, actually the 4 on the bottom, all managed to get back to their owners. Their owners kept in touch with us and they found places to live and the owners went home. I mean, the dogs went home with their owners. The other dogs were surrendered to us and we found them homes on our own. Shane is still with us. He's one of our permanent foster dogs because he had cancer. Davy and Danny went to the same home with a woman and she got them all cleaned up. They're doodles, they're golden doodles, and they were, you can tell, just a mess when they came in, but they escaped the fire and they were flexible enough to figure out that, yeah, their home had changed, their life had changed, and they had to make do with what they had. This is Milo, and Milo was born without eyes. And he was also in the campfire. And his owner had escaped the fire, was in her car, had Milo and her purse, and that's all she had. And she had to stop the car and she had to get out and walk. And she walked 7 miles with Milo, and Milo trusting her completely because obviously he can't see anything, but he was flexible enough and trusting enough to know that his owner was taking care of him. And he came down from the fire and she was safe and Milo was safe. He came to stay with us for a while his owner got her on her feet and then went back to be with her. Flexible and adaptable. Things change on a dime. You never know what's going to happen. And if you can roll with the punches a little bit, life is a little bit simpler. Okay, and my favorite is to take a nap. You know, my husband always would take a nap at lunchtime. He said 15-minute power nap was the best thing that happened to him during the day. And I thought he was crazy until I got a little older and realized that the dogs take naps, people take naps. It's refreshing. It puts things in perspective, gives you a little sleep, a little time just to reflect. And dogs certainly know how to nap, as you can see. After you've had your nap and you've met with some of your friends, you want to make sure you share what you've got with others. These are my first 2 golden retrievers, Watson and Spencer. And Watson was the faster swimmer. So we would throw a stick way out in the water and Watson would go and chase it and Spencer would go and chase Watson. And Watson would bring the stick back and Spencer would grab his half of it and out they'd come in the water because they knew they had to share with each other. Puppies know this. They know it from the very beginning that they should be sharing with each other. And mama teaches them that when she's got 6 or 8 or 10 puppies because they all have to learn to share mama. And it's something that as adults, we don't always remember to do. So if you have a talent, you want to get out there and share that with somebody. If you have cookies, I always like cookies. You can share those with me anytime. Food, talents, your toys, whatever you've got, take it to your friend, your new friend that you've just made, give them a hug and share with them what you've got. Because the dogs know that it really makes a difference. and it makes a difference for people as well. More dog sharing. This dog, one dog's not too happy about the other dog having the stick, but that's okay. They're learning to share. All right. I believe that you should never quit. We're dealt all kinds of things in life, and we have to keep moving, and we have to overcome these things. This dog is Mojo, and his owner set the house on fire and left the dog inside. And the firefighters got him out, and they took really good care of him. Mojo had smoke in his lungs, just like people do. And they fixed him up. He came to stay with us for a while, and he stayed with us because the firefighter who saved him needed to adopt him. So never quit, because the first home he had might not have been so good, but look what he ended up with, a great guy who saved his life and took him home. So I think whatever you do in life, you want to keep at it. You want to make it work. This is Buster. Buster came to us and he couldn't stand. This was the front lobby of Homeward Bound. We laid him down and we told everybody that this is a dog that will break your heart because he can't stand up. We're probably going to have to euthanize him. We're going to let him go. And the next morning when we came in to find Buster, he was not on his bed. He was standing at the back door wanting to go out. So one of our volunteers took him home. And this is what Buster turned into, with a little love and not giving up. And we didn't give up on him. So again, I remind you, don't give up. This is Rue. Rue came to us from a family who didn't understand that golden retrievers needed more to eat than a half a can of dog food a day. So when Rue came to us, he was only 40 pounds, and you can see how skinny he is in this picture. That's me. I saved him from his family. And the reason they gave him up is because he was in the backyard with the chickens, and he killed the chickens because he was hungry. So the woman decided she couldn't keep a dog that killed chickens. And we said, well, that's a good thing because we'll take him. And he is now living with Jessica, who is one of our volunteers. And he is a healthy, happy, stunningly beautiful golden retriever because he didn't quit. You know, sometimes life seems really hard, and sometimes it really is. But you can take a nap, and you can get up, and you can greet the day and see if you can't make things better. So I say to you, never quit. One of my favorite things to remind you of is to play like you did as a child. Now, this is an old dog. This is a 14-year-old dog who is standing there waiting for me to throw the ball. And he's like, come on, let's play. He can't run so fast anymore, but he likes to play. So he wants that ball thrown. He wants to play like he did as a child. I have a dog named Chloe who walks with me every morning. And she likes to walk on a retaining wall that goes along part of our path, part of our trail that we walk on. And she will jump up there and just walk along the pathway there, along the wall. And I had another dog named Watson who would walk on the curb like we did when we were kids, you know, balancing along on the curb. And he loved that. And I know we probably shouldn't be jumping up on retaining walls anymore, and we probably also shouldn't be trying to balance on the curb. But you know what? You could sing a silly song, you could do a puzzle, you can play a game. But if you play like you did when you were a child, you'll find that things come back to you. You feel better about things. Life is pretty good. You know, step in a mud puddle. Won't hurt you. You can clean up. And look at this dog. He is having the best time having jumped in the mud. So play like you did when you were a child, and I think you'll enjoy that very much. Or play with a child. This is Lucas, and his favorite thing to do is to throw the ball for the dog, although he sometimes forgot to let go of the ball. But the dog didn't care. He had somebody to play with. So I wrap this up by telling you a very silly joke. And the joke is, why aren't dogs good dancers? And the answer is because they have 2 left feet. So I say every once in a while, have a really good laugh, because there's nothing more important than laughter in the whole world. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be part of your day.
Thank you so much, Judy. That's a great presentation. Such great life lessons to be learned from our furry friends. So I did want to ask how you were connected with Homeward Bound and started working with them, and then also you know, what their role is, what they do there.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Maureen. Yeah, I got my first golden retriever from Placer County SPCA, and we loved him so much. He was the best dog that ever came along that we started looking for a second golden retriever. And so, you know, did a little search online, found Homeward Bound. And once I found Homeward Bound, I couldn't leave. I started there by helping them do their taxi. We call it the Golden Taxi, where we transport dogs from shelters back to our facility. And we have a facility in Alberta that has kennels and 8 acres, and it's just really a fabulous place. Our mission is to rescue and rehome golden retrievers. But in recent years, golden retrievers haven't needed quite that much help. And so we take in a lot of other dogs. We take in labs, Labrador retrievers, lab mixes. Great Pyrenees seem to be our newest specialty. And recently we got a German Shepherd and her 6 puppies that were born on site. So we take care of them, we find them homes, and then we bring in some more.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. We did have a question come through also about how can someone help support Homeward Bound. They have adopted dogs before from the Front Street Shelter, but wanted to know more about how they can help donate or support you there at Homeward Bound.
Thank you. That's great. I appreciate that. We actually are a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, and we survive on our fundraising and donations. We are all volunteer. I'm currently acting as the president of Homeward Bound, and I am a volunteer putting in 40 hours a week, and everybody else does the same. Volunteers. I see that Pam Blake is on this call, and she is also a volunteer at Homeward Bound. We accept donations of money, food, towels, blankets, anything that a dog needs. We are happy to have. We have a website, homewardboundgoldens.org. You can go to our Amazon gift list and send us things from the Amazon list. Amazon Smile, you can make us your Amazon Smile recipient. There's lots of ways to help us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. You can also reach out if you can see the elder care management contact information here. If you didn't get a chance to jot down that contact information, feel free to send an email to info@eldercm.com, and I will respond to make sure you get Judy's contact information. Judy has done this presentation within the communities. We've done this presentation at Almond Heights before, and she was able to bring in dogs to be able to share that joy as well. So hopefully at some point in the future, we'll be able to safely be able to do this in person, because it really is a presentation that's even more impactful when it can be in person and you can see some of her furry friends in person as well. Are there any programs at Homeward Bound that connect senior dogs with senior citizens, Judy?
We have an adoption program called the Golden Touch program, and it's for senior citizens to take in a senior dog. So we don't place young dogs there, but we would place an older golden, and that's 10 years and up. And we take care of all of the medical for that dog. So whatever problems it runs into in its senior years, the senior citizen is not responsible for. We'll take that on. So it's a nice thing for people, especially if you're on a fixed income, by the way.
Fantastic. Have you had any experience with any of your dogs becoming, say, therapy dogs or being able to work within senior communities?
Well, you have to be a really good trainer for that, and I'm not. So my dogs will never qualify for that, but several of our people have adopted dogs that haven't come from just the best circumstances. And if you work with them, Carolyn Unger, who is on our board of directors, is with a group that goes to homes, and she goes to the airport, and she has both her dogs are certified therapy dogs. So yeah, it's a good program to get dogs involved, and that's good for the dogs. It's good for the people.
Fantastic. Yeah, many ways that those furry friends can bring joy into our lives, whether they're therapy dogs or just dogs that we can have out in the community,
Yep.
sharing their joy and spirit with others. So thank you so much for all that you do.